Have you ever looked at the clock, shocked that hours have passed, and you can't even explain where the time went? Meet George. He's just like us, juggling tasks, scrolling on his phone, telling himself just 5 more minutes. But suddenly, those minutes turn into hours. That's not just distraction. That's time blindness, and it's quietly stealing your days, your weeks, and even your years. Today we're breaking down what time blindness really is, why it happens, and the first step to escaping the trap. Stick around because once you understand this, like George is about to, you'll never look at your schedule the same way again. Time blindness isn't laziness, and it isn't just poor planning. It's the inability to accurately sense or predict the passage of time. Imagine trying to drive with a broken speedometer. You might feel like you're moving safely, but in reality, you're flying way too fast. Time blindness works the same way. You think you have plenty of time, but the reality is slipping away faster than you realize. It's common among students, professionals, and especially people who juggle multiple responsibilities. And with digital distractions everywhere, notifications, emails, endless scrolling, the problem is only getting worse. Think about the last time you told yourself, just 5 more minutes, and suddenly an hour was gone. We've all been there. Scientists explain time blindness through a mix of attention, memory, and emotional regulation. When your brain is hyper-focused on a task, or, let's be honest, when you're lost in TikTok or gaming, your internal clock slows down. You feel like only a few minutes have passed, but your perception has been hijacked. On the other hand, when you're bored or stressed, time can feel painfully slow, creating the opposite problem. You avoid tasks because the idea of doing them feels endless. Both extremes are symptoms of time blindness. And here's the dangerous part. The more often you experience time blindness, the more your brain normalizes it. It becomes your default setting. You start believing, I'm just bad at time management, when in fact, you're trapped in a cycle your brain has wired itself into. The consequences aren't just being late to a meeting or missing a deadline. Time blindness costs you opportunities. It erodes trust with coworkers, friends, even family. It builds stress and guilt because you constantly feel like you're failing at something as basic as keeping track of time. And here's the kicker. It also destroys your future self. Every wasted hour is an investment you didn't make in your skills, your health, or your relationships. Imagine your future self looking back and realizing years slipped away, not because of a lack of talent or ambition, but because of unrecognized time blindness. If this is hitting a little too close to home, don't worry. You're not broken, and you're not alone. In next part, we'll dive into the practical strategies you can use to retrain your brain and start escaping this trap. In previous section, we uncovered what time blindness really is, that invisible trap where hours slip away without us even noticing. Now let's shift gears, because understanding the trap is the first step. The real breakthrough comes when you learn to outsmart your brain and reclaim control over your time. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to remember time, but your brain wasn't built to be a clock. That's why externalizing time is your first defense. This means setting visible timers while you work, using apps or smart devices that interrupt you when a block of time is over, and keeping a clock in your direct line of sight. Why does this work? Because it shifts time from a vague mental guess to a physical reality you can't ignore. Think of it like a GPS for your hours. It keeps you grounded in the real world, instead of drifting into time fog. Here's a quick challenge. For your very next task, set a timer for 25 minutes. When it goes off, check how long it felt versus how long it actually was. You'll be surprised how off your perception can be. Another powerful tactic is anchoring your day. Instead of seeing your schedule as one giant, blurry block, divide it into clear, meaningful segments. For example, a morning anchor could be exercise, journaling, or one focused work task. A midday anchor could be lunch or a quick reset walk. An evening anchor could be a shutdown ritual or reflection. These anchors work like mile markers on a highway. They give your day shape and rhythm, preventing that endless melted together feeling where time just vanishes. Here's another truth. You can't logic your way out of time blindness. If you could, alarms, and calendars would have solved it already. What really works is tying time to emotion. Make being on time a reward for your future self. Visualize how calm and confident you'll feel when you show up early. Use accountability by telling a friend or colleague you'll send them your work by 3 p.m. suddenly. That deadline isn't just a number. It's a promise. Or attach habits to emotions, like playing your favorite upbeat playlist when starting a deep work block. Emotions make the concept of time sticky. They transform an abstract hour into something you actually care about. And here's the most important shift. Don't expect to fix time blindness overnight. Focus on small wins. Every time you set a timer, anchor your day, or use an emotional cue, you're rewiring your brain. Over weeks, these small wins compound into something bigger, a reliable internal clock. And once you build that trust with yourself, your sense of time transforms from an enemy into an ally. So here's your action step. Pick one of these strategies and test it today. Don't wait. Try it, feel the difference, and then move into the final step, designing a life that's not just free from time blindness, but truly aligned with your goals and values. So far, we've exposed time blindness for what it really is, and we've learned tools to fight back: timers, anchors, and emotional triggers. But escaping the trap isn't just about hacks. It's about building a lifestyle where your relationship with time feels clear, consistent, and empowering. Let's explore how to do that. Most people treat time like loose change, something they can spend carelessly and still have plenty left. But think of time as your ultimate currency. Every hour is either an expense or an investment. When you spend an hour scrolling endlessly, you're making a withdrawal with zero return. But when you spend an hour learning, building, or connecting, you're making a deposit into your future self. This mindset shift changes everything. The question stops being, "Do I have time for this?" and becomes, "Is this worth my time investment?" Escaping time blindness isn't about filling your calendar with endless tasks. It's about designing a system that works with your brain. That means batching tasks to minimize context switching, creating theme days, like Mondays for planning, Wednesdays for creative work, Fridays for review, and setting clear boundaries between work and rest so you don't live in that half-focused, half-distracted state. When you design a system, you remove the friction of constant decision-making. Instead of asking, "What should I do next?" your system gently nudges you into the right action. Here's a quick reflection. If you could theme just one day of your week, what would it be? Think about it. Another powerful practice is building future self-awareness. Before saying yes to something, imagine your future self living with the consequences. Will future you be grateful you stayed up until 3 a.m. binge watching? Or will they be exhausted and behind at work? Will future you thank you for investing 20 minutes in learning a skill, or regret that you didn't start sooner? This exercise strengthens the mental bridge between your present actions and your long-term life. It's the antidote to the short-sightedness that fuels time blindness. At its core, escaping time blindness isn't about micromanaging minutes. It's about creating alignment between your values, your goals, and your daily actions. When you know what matters most, time stops slipping away because you're directing it with intention. And that's the real secret. Freedom doesn't come from having more hours in the day. It comes from using the hours you have in ways that matter. So here's my challenge to you. Take one step today toward escaping time blindness. Whether it's setting a timer, creating an anchor, or redefining how you invest your hours, just start. Because the truth is, your life is your time. And once you learn to see it clearly, you can finally live it fully. If this resonated with you, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share this with 3 people who need to hear it. And if you're ready for the next step, check out my playlist on mastering focus. It's linked right here.